So January, always the slower time of the year for limo companies, January and February. And so yesterday I got a call from one of our clients. He's on the East Coast and he said, Mark, there's a big storm happening in our area. I know people are going to be stranded at the airport and I want to get as much of that business as possible. And so we get this question quite a bit. Somebody wants to target a very specific segment of the population. Maybe it's an event happening, maybe it's a big concert, maybe it's a festival. And so to all of these people, I usually say the same thing. We're not really going to change much on your advertising, and here's why. There's really two main types of targeting when it comes to Google Ads. So you can do location targeting, and this is based on where someone is physically located, meaning you can actually see a radius on the map, or you can target a city, or you can target a county or a DMA. I think it's called the DMA region, which is a much larger region, usually encompasses a few different counties. So that's the way that most people think targeting works with Google Ads. But the most popular way to target in Google Ads is keyword level targeting. That means what people are actually searching. That's why Google and Microsoft Bing Ads is mostly what I talk about on here. I could talk about all these other platforms, and while it might be interesting to you guys, when you're watching this, I want you to be getting value. I want you to take away something that you can actually use. And if I spend time talking about TikTok or Facebook, I've tried these platforms out and I've just found they just don't work anywhere near as well as Google and Microsoft Bing search. And there's one reason for that. It's intent. Intent makes all of the difference. Intent means somebody is actively searching for that service. That's why Google is as rich as it is they do intent targeting better than any other platform. And so based on what someone searches, you can kind of see what they're thinking, right? They're booking a trip. They need to look for a vendor to pick them up at the airport. Maybe they need to look for a hotel. They need to set up travel arrangements, right? And it's not like, oh, it'd be nice to get this in the next month. No, they need it now. They're booking their trip now and they're ready to spend money. That's why it's so expensive to advertise on Google and Microsoft. So keyword level targeting, for example, your keyword might be, let's say it's Charlotte limo service. Somebody might search that if they're flying into Charlotte. They also might search CLT, I believe that's the airport code, CLT car service, or CLT airport transportation, or CLT airport transfers. These are all variations, and some of them will work really well, and some of them won't work as well. And what we find is the ones that always work well are the variations that have limo, black car, or just car service really. The ones that can work decently well are shuttle, transportation. You'll notice they aren't as specific, right? And so what happens is if I have a client who just isn't getting enough volume in their city, let's say it's a smaller city, like for instance, Charlotte, and they only do black car. They don't have stretch limos, party buses, coaches, or anything like that. And they want to get more leads. Well, we always start out with the same main root keywords that I just went over. But if we need to drive more volume and they don't want any of that other type of work I just mentioned, well, we have to start going and trying out other things like transportation, shuttle. And here's the thing. Even if 80% of the people searching that could be good potential clients, it's still worth it. So I'm not cutting something out just because every fifth call is somebody looking for public transportation. Well, what if the leads are cheaper for that particular keyword, right? Airport transportation. And many times they are because it's less specific. So the more targeted you go, the more it costs per lead, but also the more relevant leads. And the less targeted you go, like for instance, airport transportation, the cost per click is typically lower and therefore the cost per lead is lower, but it is kind of annoying when you're getting calls for people who are looking for something that is much, much cheaper. So that's why we usually do not use those right away with an account, and we will try it later on if we find their volume isn't good enough. Those are the two types of location targeting. You can target by looking at a map and setting up a radius or targeting a particular city. And then you can also target by your actual keywords themselves. And what we find is for black car companies, this is the most important, right? Because think about it. For you guys, a lot of the people that are searching for your services are not in your city, right? They're flying into your city. And if you do stretch limos, party buses, that sort of thing, many times it is local people. And so the targeting where you just target only people in a certain area. Now there's only two settings. So within location targeting, I know I mentioned there's two ways to do it, right? Keywords, and you can draw it on a map. But within the you can draw it on a map part, there's two options. There's people that have interest. They call it presence or interest, meaning they're physically in the location or they're interested in the location, right? And then there's presence only, meaning only target people that are physically in that location. So we only use the latter setting for some companies that only do like stretch limos, party buses, or maybe you do only black card, but you're in a very big, highly populated city and you're looking to get as many repeat clients as possible. Because think of it, who is more likely to be a repeat client? Somebody that's flying from LA to Charlotte or somebody in Charlotte that's flying out. Obviously, it's the guy that's flying out of Charlotte, right? Because they probably live there or work there. And so those are kind of the different types of location targeting you can do. And so another thing, when we were on the call, we started talking about how many leads he was getting. He wasn't quite hitting his budget. He was actually probably like 40% under his budget, but his cost per lead was pretty low. And so I was very happy with his cost per lead. And I told him, look, I would like to get closer to your budget, but here's another thing that many times is confusing to people about how Google Ads works. In most things in life, the more you buy of them, the less they cost. Well, Google Ads is the opposite. The more you buy, the more it costs. And here's why. There's a limited supply of leads in a given market. Most markets have a lot, but at a certain point, in a small market, you might not be able to spend $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a month. And if you want to keep spending more and more in a small market, we have to start using broader keywords, right? So maybe instead of airport limo service, we do airport transportation. Maybe we try out just using limo service as a keyword, even if you don't have any stretch limos, because limo service is a catch-all, right? It could be someone looking for a stretch limo, could be someone looking for a black car service. And so we have to sometimes get creative and use keywords that might not be exactly what our client offering, but some of the people searching for that will be looking for what our client offers, but some maybe not. And we have to just try it out many times. And if 1 out of 10 leads is for a stretch limo, it's probably not a big deal. And they probably should have an affiliate that they're farming the work out to anyways, right? But anyways, at a certain point, getting more leads just gets a lot more expensive. And here's why. Because again, there's a limited number of people searching for a given service in a certain market. And so how can you get more leads in that market? Well, in order to keep our clients' cost per lead low, we're typically bidding for those lower positions. So their ad isn't showing up number 1 or 2. This is a common misconception. Everyone thinks, oh, I want to be number 1. No, many times number 1 is paying the most per click, meaning the most per lead, meaning your client acquisition cost is the highest. So for our clients who want more and more leads, what we have to start doing is we have to start bidding higher so the ads show higher. So position 4 pays less than the 3 positions above it. And so if we're typically showing up in the 3rd and 4th position, our lead cost might be 30, 40, might be even 80% lower than somebody showing up in the 1st position every single time. And so I told our client, look, we can try to get closer to your budget. I want to do so without doubling your cost per lead, because what can happen is, let's say the first $2,000 a month you spend, you're getting leads for $15 each. But then we go and we try to get that same client to hit $3,000 a month without changing their keywords, okay? That's a very big caveat, because when you add more broad keywords, that allows for more search volume. So we go from $2,000 to $3,000 a month, and all of a sudden their cost per lead goes from $15 to $20 a lead. Now, here's the thing. It didn't go up by just 33%, right? If you're going from $15 a lead, $2,000 a month, to $20 a lead at $3,000 a month, that next $1,000 a month, your leads likely cost double, right? You might be paying $30 a lead for the leads between $2,000 and $3,000 a month. And so is that worth it? Maybe it is, but maybe not. And so we found with a lot of our clients, especially in smaller markets, if you're in LA, New York, Chicago, you can spend tens of thousands of dollars a month without really significantly increasing your cost per lead. But in smaller markets, sometimes when we go from $2,000 to $3,000 to $4,000 to $4,500 a month, we see they're really not getting that many more leads, but they're paying more for all of their leads. And so it's in our client's best interest. It's in our best interest, everyone's best interest for me to educate them and let them know, look, we're going to do everything we can to get you more leads. But at a certain point, we don't want you to have to pay double per lead for the next $500,000 you spend for your leads, right? So many times it does make the most sense to start adding more keywords that are broader, or maybe just not increasing the budget and figuring out other ways or platforms or means to get additional business. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Just remember, there's two types of location: targeting, keyword based, and then you can actually target their physical location. And remember that the more leads you get, typically the more it's going to cost you. If you guys got some value from this, I'd really appreciate if you subscribe to the channel. I try to put at least one of these videos out a week, and I really appreciate all of you watching them. I'll see you guys on the next one.